All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We've got an 8-game slate to talk about for tonight. Lots of news to keep track of here. Nolan's article will be definitely useful, as it always is. So I would definitely recommend checking that out. Looks like we've got a few of you in chat already here. And, oh, there we go. Yeah, it should be actually a pretty fun slate. Probably not MMEing it for the first time in a while, just because. Is there an echo going on? Could be. Let's see. How's that? Is that better? Whatever. You guys are on a delay. Maybe I need to back up from my computer screen. Could be. All right. How's this? Any better? For the few of you that are in here. Better? All right. Well, I'm just going to get going. Probably going to get out of here about 3:30 Eastern. So this show will be about 45 minutes. We'll just go through each of the games. As always, obviously just me today. No Nolan, no Steve. Steve has an MMA article. If you want to check that out, try out MMA. He's one of the best. Similar to NHL. Where's Bobby Boom? I'm not sure where Bobby's at. Hopefully he pops in here, though. I don't have a way to contact him, but maybe he'll see. Maybe he subscribes to the YouTube channel and he can see that we're live right now. Who knows? So Montreal and Vancouver. Let's just get right into it, actually, now that kind of got limited time. Hope you guys enjoyed. On the contrary, if you just watched that, definitely want to check that out. If you're playing NFL DFS, it was a very informative show, as it always is. Chris Spags, Osimo, and Evan Silva. So check that out. Just click on the Osmo.com YouTube channel, and you can view that before you make your lineups tomorrow morning. All right, Montreal and Vancouver, we've got Carey Price going up against likely Jacob Markstrom, but no confirmation just yet. A lot of goalies actually aren't confirmed, oddly enough. Usually we have more confirmed at this point. Maybe it's just daily faceoff not updating in a timely manner. I don't know what's going on, but I was looking on Twitter, and it's probably not on daily faceoff. I just don't see a lot of beat writers active on Twitter outside of the couple games that are going on right now. This one I don't really love for DFS, especially because I'm dealing with limited entries tonight. There is one play that I think is a really awesome one, but I don't like his line mates, and that's Elias Pettersson. We're going to see Horvat go up against the Danault, Gallagher, Tatar line. At least that's how I expect it to happen. And then Pettersson's going to spend the most time against Domi, Drouin, and Shaw, which has just been a terrible defensive line. They've been getting it done on the offensive end somehow, but they have really, really poor defensive numbers. Drouin and Domi together, wouldn't expect them to be all that much better with Shaw on there either, at least on the defensive end, and certainly not on the offensive end either, now that I think of it. So Pettersson is the guy that he's someone that was in my initial build. I don't know if he's going to end up in my main lineup tonight, but I really do like this spot for him at 6,200 top power play. He's creating a bunch of scoring chances, not shooting as much as I would like him to, but I think his price has come down from like almost 8K to 6,200, so definitely usable there. And then I don't really love much on the Montreal side. I mean, you can go to Danault with Tatar and Gallagher. I think that's a fine stack, but again, dealing with limited lineups tonight, probably not going to be a priority play for me. Goalies, if Markstrom goes, I think he is cheap enough where he's in play even for limited lineups. Would certainly have some exposure for MME. And then I don't really like Price here at all. 8,100 is too expensive. I'm not even convinced Montreal wins this game either. So that's a pretty easy stay away from me. Don't usually love targeting Montreal defensemen, but Petrie would be the guy if you are going to Danault, Tatar, and Gallagher. And then on the Vancouver side here, Pouliot is a decent punt option. He doesn't really do much, but he's 2,700, plays decent minutes, and gets power play time. So, the opportunity is there if you want to go with Pettersson, Pouliot, some type of mini stack like that, and just need an absolute punt on defense. But we do have a few of them. One of them, a guy near and dear to my heart that we'll talk about later. The other guy maybe you'd want to go to is Ben Hutton, who is 4,300, just playing huge minutes, block shots, more of a floor play than an upside play, as are most of the Vancouver defensemen. So let's get out of that game and go to Pittsburgh and Ottawa. We have Matt Murray going up against Craig Anderson. This is where hopefully I get my Ottawa revenge. So I was on them super heavily 2 nights ago, maybe? Was that the Thursday slate? Yeah, Thursday. And they're playing Detroit. My model loved them. I had a ton of Senators, both the top 2 lines. And yeah, did not work out. I think they had 2 goals, but nothing, no full line goals or anything. That being said, we've got no Sidney Crosby here for the Penguins. Murray in net. He's just whatever for me as far as goalie skill. Not a guy that I avoid stacking against. Not a guy that I want to fire up stacks against. But the line matching is somewhat clear in this spot. Ottawa at home has been matching the Tierney line versus Malkin. Versus top competition. So that would be Malkin with no Crosby. Pretty clear there. And then Colin White has been going up against second line centers. So Brassard with Gensel and Kessel. And then the Duchesne line has been getting third lines. Going back to Batherson. Yep, I like it a lot. Ottawa stole the Church's money that night. Yeah, that's funny. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, line matching. So we've got Tierney against Malkin, White against Brassard, and Sheehan will get the Duchesne line. I mean, there'll be some mixing up here and there, but that's the majority of time that those lines are going to spend against each other. And I just really, really love the Colin White, Tkachuk, Mark Stone line. Wrote them up in the Stacks article. Their numbers are awesome, so I'll refer to them right now. Just so you don't have to take my word for it. Just 25 minutes so far, just a couple games with these guys. But you look at Stone and Tkachuk together so far this year without Colin White, and Colin White's fine. I mean, he's not going to make or break the stack, but he is 4,100. Tkachuk, Stone, 44 minutes together, 18.8 scoring chances per 60, almost 40 almost 40 scoring chances per 60, almost 19 high danger chances per 60. So they've just been super high event. They're going to get a really favorable matchup against Brassard with Kessel and Gensel. That's a really poor defensive line. Not one that I would be worried about at all. If they go against the Sheehan line, even better. I mean, Sheehan with Dominic Simone and Brian Rust, certainly not worried about them either. So it's just it's a Colin White, Mark Stone, Brady Tkachuk. Did I say Matthew Tkachuk before? I feel like I did. Anyways, Brady Tkachuk, the 19-year-old. Yeah, so that's where I'm going. They're probably going to be in my main lineup. Just trusting the numbers here. No Crosby obviously helps quite a bit. And yeah, so maybe if you were upset with me for being all over Ottawa a couple nights ago, you want to shield your ears. But yeah, I'm back on Ottawa here. They got some pretty solid numbers at home, super high event. That being said, the other side I think is also firmly in play. The Malkin line's going to be somewhat chalky. Pearson makes it affordable at 3,700. Hornquist Malkin already a very good combo for just 1,300 on DK. And nothing bad to say about them. It's just an ownership thing. And I'm steering clear in my main lineup. Although I wouldn't blame you if you went there with even just one lineup tonight, because it is a really awesome spot, not only at even strength, but also the power play. Defenseman, we're looking at Chris Letang again for the Penguins, as always. Kind of an obvious thing there, but Dumoulin 2,500 could play 20 minutes. He's just min salary and he's okay. There's a bunch of punt options tonight. He's not my favorite, but he's at least worth a mention. Shabbat might be 50% on FanDuel tonight. That I don't know what he is on FanDuel. He's probably like, they probably dropped his price because he didn't get on the score sheet last game, but he's the guy that I absolutely love tonight. Once again, I believe is my #1 defenseman on my projections. If not, he's right up there with Brent Burns, which is crazy to say, but $6,500 Thomas Shabbat, and I'm going for it. He's 4,900 still on FanDuel. Yeah, that's a joke. He's just been crushing every single night. So I love Shabbat. I love pairing him with Stone, White, Kachuk. Those guys all played on the top unit at 5-on-4 last game. So, you know, even if all of them don't, you're probably getting 3 of the 4 at the very least. So I love that 4-man stack. And that is about it for this game. Goalies are correlation plays more than anything. I think both of them should see a good amount of shots. So GPPs, I'm fine with either of them. Don't really have a strong lean either way. Panthers and the New York Rangers. Roberto Luongo going up against Henrik Lundqvist. Or likely Henrik Lundqvist. This is one where I'd like to get some exposure to it. I kind of like attacking the Hayes, Kreider, Nemesnikov line, and I think they're going to see quite a bit of time against Trocheck, Huberdeau, and Frank Vetrano. 3 Senators too much in cash. I don't play much cash. I don't know what site you're talking about. Are you talking about FanDuel? I'm assuming they're pretty cheap over there. On DK, I probably wouldn't do 3. They're not super cheap on DK, so I don't think we're going to see a ton of ownership on them, at least at lower stakes. Higher stakes, they might creep up there a little bit. But I honestly don't know. I'm not really worried about Senators' ownership in tournaments. But they're not like great values, point per dollar on optimizers, I don't think. So probably wouldn't play too many of them in cash if I was going that route. Anyways, Trocheck line in this game with Huberdeau and Frank Vetrano is my main target. They're playing at a super high pace. I wrote them up in the Stacks article. The Rangers are top 10 in Corsi against per 60, scoring chances against per 60, and high danger chances against per 60 for the season. They're just not a good defensive team. If no Lundqvist in there, all the better for Florida here. You can go to either of the top 2 lines, but I love the value that we're getting with the Trocheck, Huberdeau, and Vetrano line. I don't really have anything on the Rangers side. I'd like to play Zibanejad, Zuccarello, and Hedel, but I actually think they might be somewhat chalky here just because, like, Zibanejad, he's fairly priced, but Zuccarello and Hedel are cheap enough where they're going to come up as a secondary line if you're not going to, like, Boston 1. And that's even if Bergeron plays. If Bergeron doesn't play, then there's really no lines that are super price restrictive with the value opening up. And, like, Nashville, Pittsburgh's not super expensive. So I think the Zibanejad line's going to pop for a lot of people in optimizers, which is understandable. Trocheck and Huberdeau looked awful defensively last game, -5 versus Columbus. Were they? I mean, they're not a great defensive line, so it doesn't really surprise me, but I try not to worry as much about plus minus and just go with, like, shot attempts for and against, scoring chances for and against, that kind of thing. I think that's more indicative of, like, future, or, like, what's to come, or, like, more predictive, I should say. But that's just my opinion. I mean, -5 is obviously very bad, but it's just one game, and you don't get penalized for that anymore on either site. So not something you need to worry about. They can give up 5 and score 3 full-line goals and be completely fine. Defenseman, Matheson is kind of the guy that's sticking out to me as a value here for 4,400. I'm still waiting for Ekblad to do something, and he's 4,100, so I'd rather just find the $300 and go up to Matheson. Yandel would be my main target if you are going to Florida 1, but that gets really pricey very fast. And again, I said I like the second line, so would rather go with a cheaper defenseman for Florida because I really don't like Yandel as a one-off here at all, or really in general whenever he's 5,700. Pionk is 5,500 for the Rangers, and I mean, he plays in the top power play. He's fine, but I think he's a little bit overpriced. And then D'Angelo and Shattenkirk they just don't really do anything for me. And Shea doesn't get power play time, so I'm kind of poking holes in all these Rangers defensemen. No Mark Stahl for me. He's Mark Stahl, and he's not even like min salary. So there's just better players in better spots at lower prices than 2,800 tonight, as weird as that sounds. Goalies, both of these guys are kind of expensive. 7,800 for Luongo and 7,900 for Lundqvist. I think shot volume should be there for both. So it's not like they're off the table or anything. But in a close game, one that could feature a lot of high danger chances, I'd like to steer clear from these guys, especially in mass multi-entry. I know they wouldn't be coming up for me a lot at all. So let's go to Columbus and Carolina. We don't know who's going for the Blue Jackets, but it's going to be Scott Darling for the Hurricanes. Man, line matching is super easy when it comes to the Hurricanes when they're at home. The Stahl line goes up against the opposing top line. The Aho line sees some of the second and third lines. So the Aho line would be my main target here. It's really not that close at all. I think... you heard anything on Aho? I didn't. At least I didn't from beat writers. Just listening to another podcast, actually, the Tic Tac Tout podcast. I was listening to that. And that they said, Slim Cliffy said that, just logically, like Aho's had 4 days off. He was out with some sort of soreness. At least he was missing practice for that reason. And, 4 days is pretty much enough time to recover from soreness, unless they're just, hiding something here. I think Aho should be fine. So I'm treating it as he's going to be okay. And I love the matchup for Carolina's top line. So this would be a line that I would be heavy on in MME tonight if I was doing that. I don't really like much for the Columbus side. I'm kind of off the top line here. Who knows what other guys are sick? I haven't really heard much about Columbus today or even the last couple days. So if it's Bobrovsky, that's obviously a slight downgrade to the Hurricanes' offense here. But I'm not really worried about targeting against Columbus here. Darling, I actually kind of like at 7,400. He's been, he's Scott Darling. He's nothing great, but he is cheap. And I do think that Carolina does have quite a few advantages here. This third line has been awesome for Carolina as well. Svechnikov, Walmark, and Jordan Martinook. They've been really, really good. One of the best lines in hockey, like per 60. But I don't think I need to get that deep on in limited lineups. In MME, I would have sprinkles of them for sure. So if you are making 150, then they don't just cross off the Walmart line. They have some really, really good numbers at even strength. And Svechnikov plays on the top power play. So there is that. Defenseman, I'm kind of off for the Blue Jackets just because I'm not really on them overall. And then Hamilton, again, prefer him at 5,400 in a one-off scenario. Wish he correlated better to the top line, but he should play some minutes with them at even strength. So it's, just play the better player, I think, when it's a $200 difference between Hamilton and Falk. Hamilton's got the higher ceiling. Falk correlates a little bit better, but I'd rather just play the better player. Next game, Boston and Arizona. We have Yaroslav Halak expected to go after Tuukka Rask went last night. Played really well, actually. It was quite the tilt because he'd been pretty bad for the whole season. And then all of a sudden, when I stack against him, I had Dallas 1 in one of my qualifier lineups, and he had a really good game. He stopped Sagan a couple times. He stopped Jamie Benn on the doorstep. So wasn't great for me, but good for Tuukka Rask for showing vintage Tuukka Rask form, I suppose, and not looking like a terrible goalie like he did for the first few games of the season. So we've got some news to talk about in this one. It's Patrice Bergeron. He hurt his shoulder yesterday during the game. He was wincing on the bench. He's questionable for this game. I'm assuming that means game time decision. You're probably not going to know what's going on with Bergeron before the 7 Eastern lock, which sucks because I really do want to play Boston 1 here. He's probably not going to be 100%. I mean, he didn't look great after he got hit in the shoulder. So even if he plays, Boston 1's so expensive. And I don't know. I probably am just avoiding Boston. Like I've said 20 times already, it seems like I'm playing limited lineups tonight, so I don't have the luxury of just having like 10% of Boston. And that's probably going to be enough for me to get me off of them. Even though, man, if Bergeron was healthy here and I was making like 100 lineups and he's got the questionable tag next to him on DK, he's going to be low owned. So if you think he's going to play or have a really good swap in mind, then fire some Boston 1 bullets here, because the expected goals, high danger chances is in Boston's favor here for sure. We're going to see probably the Richardson line and the Osterley-Hjalmarsson pairing used as shutdown again here. At least the Richardson line is going to see quite a bit of time against Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak. So not really a line that I'm worried about. I'm never worried about any line going up against Boston 1. They're just matchup proof, as we say all the time. So I don't really love anything on Arizona, or really even like anything. I mean, Stepan, Perlini, Keller is going to get an okay even strength matchup, but I'd just rather not target against Boston unless it is an elite line like Sagan, Ben, Radulov. So that was kind of a one-time thing. It was an ownership thing. It was a pivot off of Winnipeg, and it was a cute lineup too. So you're shooting for the moon there, and didn't work out. But I would make that play again. I think I liked how it ended up as far as ownership. So enough about my lineups. This game is kind of an avoid all around for me, except we do have some cheap defensemen. We've got Osterley listed with Kevin Connaughton. I think both of those guys are in play. Osterley is 2,600, and he's just he's a solid player. He's going to play 20 plus minutes. There's no Chychrun, Goligoski, or Demers here for Arizona, so all these guys are going to get bumps. They're probably going to ride their top 4 pretty heavily here, and I expect all the top 4 to see 20 plus minutes. And Osterley's the cheapest and plays on the second power play unit, so pretty easy punt there for me. If you are going to Boston 1 and can fit Krug, by all means, do that. If not, Grzelcyk is going to get a minutes bump again, and he's 3,600 and gets power play 2 time. So I think he is also an all right play. I don't really know anything about these Arizona PP2. Yeah, what about it? That's where Osterley plays. Anyways, I don't really know much about these Boston $2,500 defensemen, but if you like one of them, anyone's in play at $2,500 if they're going to play decent minutes. And some of these guys will, but I'd rather find the extra $100 and go to a guy like Osterley, who's got a little bit more of a defined role. We've got probably Halak and Kemper. I think Kemper is fairly priced, especially if no Bergeron, he gets a bump. Arizona gets more win equity then, of course. Bergeron, one of the best players in the entire league. Lays on, wow, 25 minutes last night? Is that right? That's pretty wild. Okay then. Maybe he's a decent punt at 2,600. I did not know that. Wasn't getting into the Jeremy Lauzon. What is it? Lausen? Yeah, whatever. All right, that's enough out of this game. I actually like Kemper a little bit, again, if no Bergeron, but he is fairly priced for playing a team on a road back-to-back. Kings and Predators. We've got another road back-to-back here. The Kings, after... I'm trying to think who they played last night. They played the Blackhawks. Yep. So they'll be in Nashville tonight. Pecorine, $8,500. Don't know who's going for the Kings, but not really messing around with whoever it is. The Kings actually, weren't terrible last night. They had stretches where they outplayed the Hawks, and I think we're going to see some Nashville chalk on this top line. Johansson and Craig Smith and Forsberg. That's the line I'm referring to. I think they're going to be one of the most popular lines of the night. But looking at what Nashville does, they don't always hard match, and maybe they won't do it here, but they do play Nashville 1 quite a bit against against opposing top competition. So that would put them up against Kopitar, Brown, and Iafallo. That's not really a matchup I want to mess with all that much or go out of my way to target. So I'm lower than most people, I think, on Nashville 1. If I have this read correctly, I could be completely wrong, and Nashville 1 could be 10%. I don't know, but just thinking about, full power play correlation, people like Nashville 1, it's at home, road back-to-back for the Kings, all that stuff. That would have to be a spot that I think a lot of people at least look to. Fiala played with Johansson and Forsberg last game, yep. But Smith did skate with them this morning, so expecting Smith as we have it on the screen. Wow, paying up for Rene here, $9,100 on FanDuel, highest priced goalie. He's got a great chance at a win, but I think Nashville should crush them possession-wise. I don't think the Kings are going to get a ton of shots off, so I'd rather not pay up with Rene. Point per dollar, it's a pretty bad play on either site, but I'd probably rather go there on FanDuel where the pricing's soft. You could have a really solid lineup and have $10K left over for a goalie, and if you just want the win, then sure. But on DK, pricing is much tighter. Don't want to pay $8,500 for a goalie if I can avoid it. On defense here, actually, the Carter, Kovalchuk, Toffoli line is still priced down. It's not a great spot for them, but they're going to avoid some time against Johansson, Forsberg, and Smith, and they're just dirt cheap. So they're a line that comes up a ton if you use my projections, so you already know this. And their numbers aren't great, but they had quite a few chances last night, just didn't convert on a lot of them. So hoping for big things from this line in the future. Maybe tonight is not the night on the back-to-back, though, and in Nashville. We've got Josi, Ellis, and Ekholm. Ellis is going to play a ton of minutes again, as is Josi. Those two are the ones I much prefer. Ekholm is listed on the top power play. And if you are going to Nashville 1, he is someone that you should at least look to as just a correlation play. But Josi and Ellis are going to play a ton with Johansson, Forsberg, Smith at even strength. So you can really play any of those three guys with Nashville 1. All right, Edmonton and Calgary. We have Mikko Koskinen going up against David Rittich. Ryan Spooner making his Oilers debut. This one I also like because we know clearly what the matchups are going to be. It's going to be Backlund, Tkachuk, and Bennett going up against McDavid, Kajula, and Draisaitl. Calgary does hard match. This Backlund line is one of, if not the best shutdown line in the NHL. They're fantastic at it. Even a guy like McDavid, I'd rather avoid playing him here. He can get it done on the power play. He could get it done at even strength here. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world, but super expensive Edmonton top line here. Kajula up to $5K, Draisaitl $7,300. So it's not like you're getting a discount on them because of the matchup. This is a pass for Edmonton 1 for me. And then I really love Monahan, Gaudreau, and Elias Lindholm. They've cleaned it up a little bit defensively, and they're going to avoid McDavid. So I love Calgary 1. Really hard not to. They're in contention for my main lineup tonight. They may end up there, but there is one team that we'll talk about next that I think I lean to right now, at least, based on what they did this morning in Morning Skate. Giordano, I absolutely love for 5,800. Stack him up by, with Calgary 1, you can play him by himself. He's the one I really, really want from Calgary. And then Clefbaum is the pretty clear option for an Edmonton 1 stack, or even not an Edmonton 1 stack. If you've got 5K left over, I'd probably prefer a couple guys ahead of him, but I think he is fairly priced. Adam Larson, if you're looking for blocks and sort of a floor play, he's 3,600. He's cheap enough where I'd be comfortable using him as more of a last man in kind of guy. People asking about contests. Maybe we could go through some DK content. Actually, no, we're just going to look at that garbage $40 tournament that they always do on Saturdays. Oh, goalies here. I think really, Rittich has been awesome this year. And if you think like I do that Backlund, Tkachuk, and Bennett can shut down McDavid, they've got a good chance to do that, then who else are you worried about at Edmonton? So I like Rittich for 7,800. Wish he was a little bit cheaper, but he's the guy I do prefer here over Koskinen. Blues and Sharks, we have Chad Johnson going up against Aaron Dell. Both goalies confirmed. Thank you to these teams for getting your goalies confirmed. So we have more clarity on this slate. We have the Blues on a road back-to-back. Tomas Hertl likely out. And then right before I came on here, it was announced that Jaden Schwartz is questionable, which would make a pretty substantial difference for me. Obviously, it would break up that top St. Louis line. Maybe they put Shen up there. Maybe they put Fabry. I don't really know what they would do if Schwartz is out, but he's a very good possession player. Makes that line better defensively. And I love San Jose already here. So no Schwartz, or the possibility of no Schwartz, it just makes me love San Jose even more. I always love San Jose. It seems like I really like what they've done with Couture and Pavelski and Meyer together at even strength. All those guys get power play time, 2 balanced units. You can go with Carlson or Burns depending on what you have left over for defensemen. And so love San Jose 1. You can read about them. I gave you the numbers or the reasons why I like them in my Spotlight Stacks article. But I also like the third line. Kane, Sumela, and Donskoy. These guys have also great numbers together. Kane at 5,600 is a guy I really love. If you're looking to get different from San Jose 1, or if you're looking to Josh stack this, you can go with some sort of San Jose 1, San Jose 3 hybrid stack, 5-man stack with one of the defensemen. I think that's a pretty viable option, even on a slate this big. San Jose is one of my favorite spots, if not my favorite on the board. Behind Ottawa, of course, but you guys all knew that. I don't really like anything on St. Louis's side. I don't even want to, say I would recommend anyone, because I'm not going to end up on St. Louis tonight. Road back-to-back, San Jose is awesome, and I think that they should roll them here with Chad Johnson in net. Yeah, so I'm all over the Sharks. Obviously, you'd like to get up to Burns, but Carlson is attempting over 8 shots per game over his last 5, so there's nothing wrong with him. His price is coming up a little bit. Maybe this is one of the last games where you get him semi-cheap. He's probably going to close the gap with Burns as far as DK pricing in the coming weeks. So maybe take advantage of Carlson's cheap price while you can. Both those guys are fantastic plays. And then Aaron Dell at 8,200, I think he's a fine cash goalie, great chance for the win. San Jose doesn't dominate, like they don't do a great job with shot suppression. So I think he is still usable in GPP for $8,200, and obviously very good chance for the win here. All right, so that's gonna do it. We got through that in about 40 minutes or so, 35 minutes. So a lot quicker than I usually do. But if you guys have any questions, anything you want me to talk about or play around with on the lineup builder, we got about 5 more minutes, and then I'll get out of here and finalize my main lineup. So probably going back to the 1 lineup life, or maybe 1 to 3 lineup life for at least tonight. DK is not really giving me much of a choice anyways. Like, looking at these contests, let's just go to the contest lobby. You can, yeah. I don't know. I just don't really like this tournament for whatever reason. I just, 40% to top 10. That's not even that bad, but you put 56 entries in there, you're already spending $1,000. You got to get top 6 to get your money back. I don't know. It's a fine tournament. I'm probably just being, complaining a little bit too much about the tournaments on DK, but I'd just like to see more options, I guess. Like if they had a $5 to go along with that, I'd be more than happy to MME tonight, but I don't really like the $40 price point when they're not giving you anything else from, I don't know, the forecheck. Yeah, so $4 to 40 and nothing else you can put 150 into, except for the Minimax, which is tiny. 5%, under 5% to first. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. DK. I'm sure there's some good contests on FanDuel, but as you guys know, I don't really play much over there, mostly on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm sure they don't have a huge $4 or anything that's super appealing to me anyways. Do you like Carlson over Yossi? Virtually the same price on FanDuel. I like Carlson there. I think, actually, it is really close though. But I do like the spot for the Sharks as a whole better than the Predators. So give me Erik Karlsson. Let's see here. So I was talking about with like a hybrid stack, something like this for the Sharks. So you go like that. You probably want Burns in there. There you go. Now you got a 5-man. You got 2 wingers from the third line, 2 forwards from the top line. You could even put Pavelski in here if you would like. Either way, Burns correlates to all of them. He's going to see time with each of these guys at even strength, and the power play, whatever San Jose does, some of these guys are going to be on the power play with Burns, whichever unit he's on, however they're mixing them up. So I think it sets up for a really nice spot for the Sharks. You could also get in my boys, the Senators. Where are they at? You can go White, Kachuk. Look at that. Can't get in Shabbat. Well, because DK doesn't allow you. You have to have 3 different teams on each lineup. But you could get in someone pretty nice with a somewhat expensive goalie, I should say. $7K. You can even go a little bit cheaper. Go to Ekholm. There you go. Look at that. Pretty nice. So, no Schwartz is just the cherry on top, if indeed he does sit out for the Blues. All right, that's going to do it. Not a super active chat, but that's kind of expected on a Saturday. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll try to get some guests on the show in the future, but just wanted to get on and kind of give my thoughts on the slate. So we're going to start doing more Saturday shows when it makes sense. Steve and I will be back Monday and Wednesday as there are two huge slates on Monday and Wednesday. There's one game Tuesday, which is kind of a head scratcher. Thanksgiving Thursday, so no games then. I think there's a big Friday slate as well. And no, thank you, Ricky. Give us a like if you enjoyed this show. It would help us out, helps us do it for free, and kind of build the site. So thanks, guys, for listening. And hit me up in Slack or on Twitter if you got any questions. I'll be around my phone for the rest of the day. And won't be doing much. I don't think I'm playing MME tonight, like I've said a bunch of times. So I've got some extra time on my hands. Just got to make sure my main lineups are, everyone's in the lineup, no late scratches. But I'll be around if you got questions or, Fantasy Cruncher questions, whatever it is. You can use promo code Hit the Ice to get access to Fantasy Cruncher, get a full week, premium Slack, my projections, Osmo's rankings, all the good stuff. Thank you, guys, and we will be back on Monday. Good luck in NFL this weekend as well.